Jigglypuff in Smash 4 is really bad. She's slow, she has bad range, she has a bad ground game, she has a bad grab game, she has weak combo potential, she has trouble killing, and of course, she dies by simply being touched due to how light and floaty she is. Jigglypuff just really struggled to win neutral and keep a strong advantage state against her opponent, especially since recoveries were at their best in Smash 4, making it hard for Puff to make strong use of her strong edge guarding potential. Jigglypuff was arguably considered to be the worst character in the game by the later stages of Smash 4's life, but how did we get here? Was Jigglypuff better in earlier versions of the game and then got nerfed? Or did Jigglypuff used to be even worse but never got buffed enough to be a good character? The answer is neither. Kind of. Jigglypuff is pretty much the exact same character now as she was at launch.
Yes.
Jigglypuff only received a single meaningful direct change throughout Smash 4's entire life, and it came right at the beginning, so let's look into it. In the vanilla 3DS version, rollout had a strange property. If you performed the move in the air while facing right and you held left when landing, Jigglypuff would just immediately turn. Normally, Jigglypuff takes a long time to turn out of rollout, but with this setup, you could turn instantly. You could even do another instant turnaround afterwards. This is actually a kind of neat and useful thing you had access to. Well, useful if you decide to use the abomination that was rollout. A super slow move that's nearly impossible to land, and if you land it off stage, you are dead. And I don't mean it metaphorically or rhetorically or poetically or theoretically. You are dead.
Straight up.
But that's a potential topic for another time. As neat as this little instant turnaround with rollout was though, it was fixed in all later versions, so that is a shame. A weird thing about this trick though is that it only works if Jigglypuff was facing right. If you tried it while facing left, Jigglypuff just wouldn't turn at all. I'm holding away, yet Jigglypuff is just rolling straight into the blast zone. This was pretty dumb, but it was fixed in all later versions, that's nice. And that's it.
Thanks for watching.
That is every meaningful direct change Jigglypuff got. Not just in the first major balance patch, but in the game as a whole. Jigglypuff received a couple of bug fixes to possibly her worst move. Wow, what a game changer. Jigglypuff did technically see a couple of other changes, but it's completely irrelevant things like Jigglypuff's opening animation is a bit faster, and more stuff like that. So yeah. Jigglypuff is more or less the same character as at launch, but while Jigglypuff didn't change, the game did, so let's talk about how that impacted Puff. Version 1.0.4 in the Wii U version gave us the first major mechanical change, removing LSI for moves which launched opponents vertically. In Jigglypuff's case, I'd say this was beneficial overall. It made Jigglypuff really difficult to combo due to her floaty nature, while also making her vertical endurance less bad. When this was removed, however, it made Jigglypuff significantly easier to combo and it made her vertical endurance even worse. Combos became a lot more potent across the board and Jigglypuff still lacked solid combo starters and extenders. Sure, it made things like Rest a stronger KO move, and up tilt a more consistent combo starter at lower percents. But since it didn't really improve Jigglypuff's combo game, I'd say the negatives outweighed the positives. Jigglypuff became easier to combo and she would die earlier, which really did not help when Jigglypuff was the lightest and floatiest character in the game. Another universal change which was made in this patch is that Dacus was removed. Dacus was a brawl technique where you could perform a dash attack, cancel it into an up smash, and some characters would slide to Mexico, including Jigglypuff. Dacus was kept in the vanilla 3DS version of Smash 4 and Jigglypuff still had a sliding Dacus, which was nice. Jigglypuff's running up smash went nowhere, so Dacus was a nice tool in Jigglypuff's kit. It made her up smash a better approach option and it could even be used as a potential follow-up after her aerials. And it wasn't even borderline impossible to perform unlike some other Dacuses. You could actually do it on a normal 3DS! Imagine that! Although you did need an external control to make full use of the Dacus. Unfortunately, Dacus was removed in all later versions, and since Jigglypuff did have a useful Dacus, this had a negative impact on her. Version 1.1.1 brought the next significant mechanic change, as Shield Stun was increased across the board. For Jigglypuff, this change didn't help very much. Sure, it made Jigglypuff's aerials in particular safer on Shield, but Jigglypuff still lacked any safe moves without strong spacing. Jigglypuff's Nair may have gone down from -11 to -7, but -7 is still grab punishable by most characters, especially when Jigglypuff's fastest escape options are frame 4. Well, except for rest, but I don't think I need to explain why you shouldn't use that. Jigglypuff could already be safe with spaced arrows, so the increased shield stun overall didn't help Puff too much in that regard. In addition to this made Puff's already bad out of shield game even worse. The higher shield stun resulted in many moves becoming safer and having more shield pushback before the player could act, which was really bad for Puff. Puff's only fast out of shield option was her grab, which had really bad range, and her throws were really not good. She didn't get any other practical out of shield options until frame 12, which is just terrible. Puff was in a better spot on power shield, but her fastest practical option was a frame 5 jab, which isn't great for a power shield. These changes meant that there were numerous moves that Puff could no longer punish, or at the very least Puff had a lot more difficulty punishing, which was not good at all. And those were all of Smash 4's major mechanic changes, and Puff did not benefit from them overall, which brings me to my final point. At the beginning of the game, I think Puff would have been around lower mid-tier and low tier. Puff was the same character from a moveset perspective and she was still easily below average. But so many of the other below average characters were worse, sometimes significantly so. And I'd say Puff overall worked better with how the engine worked on 3DS. But as time went on, many of these below average characters kept getting buffed, while Puff got literally nothing. Sure, the top tiers were toned down, but new top tiers kept showing up, whether that was due to significant buffs or the addition of DLC characters, who ended up being broken and running the meta. And those nerfed top tiers still rang rings around Puff, no matter how much they had been nerfed. The standard for low tiers kept getting higher and higher, right up until the final patches, but Jigglypuff just stayed the same. This resulted in Jigglypuff being left behind, ending up as a bottom tier character, because she kept getting neglected while other weaker characters were allowed to improve. The game changed, but Jigglypuff didn't. It's like Sakurai and his team completely forgot that Jigglypuff was even put in the game. It's a similar story to what happened with Ganondorf in Ultimate, but he at least got a few things. Like I said, and as sad as it is, Jigglypuff got nothing. And I don't mean that metaphorically, or rhetorically, or poetically, or theoretically. Jigglypuff got nothing.
Straight up.
Thanks for watching.
Guys.
Just smash the like button, comment and subscribe.